It's ancient, and it feels ancient, and it feels like you're in the presence of something different. So that's where our story begins, with this tree, the largest western red cedar in the world, the largest tree in Canada, and with the man who measured it, who's come here to the base of this tree and told his friend that there's one bigger, but nothing else. So we're going to follow that and see where it leads us.
It's been 30 years since Maywell Wickham measured 2 giant cedar trees. One he registered as the largest tree in Canada and the largest western red cedar in the world. But it was the smaller of the 2. The other he kept a secret, taking its location to his grave. Decades later, the hunt has been sparked again, and a new generation of tree hunters is racing to find Maywell's mysterious giant.
To feel like the biggest tree on earth outside of California is just waiting for someone to find it is awe-inspiring.
That's record redwood and sequoia size. So if we have something like that here, what else is out there?
Some didn't believe that it existed at all.
I think as a myth, it serves the truth, which is what good myths do.
Our expedition to find Maywell's tree needs a guide, and for that, I'm gonna have to take a bus ride to visit a friend who's measured more trees on the South Island than anyone else I know.
Have yourself a good weekend. You know, when you find a big tree, you get really excited, and then immediately you start thinking about finding an even bigger or more impressive version of what you're seeing right before your eyes. You know, it's kind of absurd, really, but you know, that's a little bit of human nature for you. I got tree fever, you know.
Yeah, I know.
You know, say I was from somewhere else in Canada, and somebody says the Carmana, and it's like, ooh, the Carmana, the tallest tree in Canada, and it just immediately sparks this like mini fever in people that are into that kind of thing, and they're just like, ooh, I want to go check it out. At the end of the day, we're all excited about this stuff. I don't care who you are. You see this, it's gonna affect you.
Eric is really into measuring big trees, to an extreme that it's hard to put up with. But so am I, and so we make an alright pair, putting up with one another on our adventures out in the woods. What's the measure?
11.4.
Oh yeah.
Curvilicious. Oh, it's just so... What a beauty. Oh, this side's really cool too.
Eric, can you explain to me what we have to do to get back to the car? And how much light we have left? And what you're doing right now?
I'm faffing about. I'm doing what I need to do. More data.
We have like 30 minutes of sunlight left. We have 1.5 kilometers of bushwhacking before the start of maybe a 12 to 15 kilometer walk on logging roads. And we're measuring more trees.
Yeah. It's like a sickness.
This is Eric and my first trip together. On a whim, Eric convinced me to skip class, and we drove out to Chiwat Lake on no sleep to circumnavigate it. We forded rivers and saw salmon, eagles, and even a bear. And some big trees, but not the giant we were looking for. On this day, we started to get a scale of the task ahead of us, the sheer vastness of the forest and the difficulty to move or see through the thick walls of Salal surrounding Chiwat Lake. It was clear to us that if we wanted to find this 26-foot across giant, we were going to have to do more than just bushwhack. So we went back to town to start a new hunt, one for tips on where this tree might be and who this mysterious man is that measured a tree so large and took it to his grave. This search centers around the small rural community of Souk on southwestern Vancouver Island in the traditional territory of the Sauk Nation. But the hunt doesn't start in the forest or in this small rural town. It starts in the big city. This is where I first heard word of the giant tree from a man who refused to let the mystery go to rest. A man who spent many years train hopping and hitchhiking his way around the province, looking for big trees. Because of this, Ralph Kilman has more record trees on the Big Tree Registry than anyone else, and is a legend in the community.
The trees talk to me. They tell me where they are. I mean, I actually have the connection psychically and, like on other levels with trees. I've actually been literally walking through a woods and I'd sense a tree and it's totally not, visible. And I'd turn and go through some bushes and boom, there's this huge fir standing there, which I would have walked by if I hadn't sensed the trees. You have to have a lot of tricks when you're trying to beat out all these other tree hunters that are trying to get their name on, the champion tree of this species or that species. He had an office down for some reason in a marina down on the water, and he had a photograph of the tree right there, and Andy says he saw the photo. He even said that at one of our meetings at UBC. I saw the photo. And it's like, okay, so what? Nobody's asking the questions. Okay, what did you see? Like, what, He said it was 25 foot in diameter, and they had measured it at 25, whoever they is, because he didn't say it was him. He said, I think it was Hans, but Hans now denies it. Yeah, Hans Romer. I'm sure he said Hans had gone over, was at the tree.
I agree with Ralph. So we're going to start asking questions. The first ones are, do we believe Ralph? Is there a photo of the tree that's been seen by Andy McKinnon? And did Maywell actually take Hans Romer to go see it?
In Greater Victoria, you're basically in the epicenter of big ground firs. There's not much anywhere else that would be bigger. So taking that in account, this is not a big ground fir, and there's others.
Hans knows where to find big grand firs. In fact, he measured the record one before it fell here in Royal Roads.
Well, that's part of the big tree hunters attraction. That it's exciting to find a real record-size specimen. It has been on the ground for 16 years now, and you see it, there's hardly anything left here. We were out there, and Maywell said, oh, here's the Chiva giant, and you're in front of it, and we took oodles of photos there. And then he said, but listen, you guys, there is a tree that is even bigger, but you have to find it. And that was it. And that's the last thing I heard about this, and I'm amazed it still hasn't been found. Well, Maywell had a bent on teasing people, but he was quite serious about that one. Yeah. You know, that you could tell the difference. Yeah. He would plant certain things somewhere around the corner along a remote trail and let people discover them. He had a tremendous sense of humor. Yeah.
Hans hadn't been to the tree, but it was great walking through the forest with him. He's a superb ecologist, and his eye picked up many things that I would just wander past.
Great horned owl. Look at the size of them. Maybe there's a nest somewhere. Would be pretty hard to tell, but yeah. They start white, pure white, and then they turn pink as they age.
It's on to Andy then, another ecologist, but also one of the founders of the BC Big Tree Committee, who Ralph believes saw a picture of the mystery tree.
I love this tree, actually. It's certainly in the top 10 of the largest arbutus here in British Columbia. And it's got it all, really. It's got big stems that are big around. It's reasonably tall for an arbutus, but the main thing that puts this one into the top 10 is the canopy spread. There were some who didn't believe that it existed at all, that perhaps it was a tall tale constructed by Maywell. But I think most people believed Maywell when he said that he knew of a tree that was bigger than the Chiwot cedar, that was out there that had not been recorded yet. And that's what it remained, a mystery, a West Coast, Vancouver Island mystery. And then one evening, I got a call from Phoebe Dunbar. She was very excited.
But those are those lovely pieces there. I just really like that stuff. You really get used to working with the flaws because it makes it interesting. Yeah, I want a bowl full of character. That's for sure. I guess we were talking about trees one day. We were probably on a hiker with people up in the Kludok, and Mayo just said, "There's another tree," and this is me. Well, what do you mean another tree? Chihuahua tree is 21 feet in diameter, and if I'm remembering correctly, Maywell said it was 25 feet. And that's all he would ever tell us. And he said it would be really nice if it's not me that announces it. Maywell knew that he didn't have long to live. So he said, invite Andy McKinnon to tea, because somebody needs to know there's another tree. And then, so I invite Andy, and hey, Andy, Maywell wants you to come over to tea. He's not doing too well. He's feeling a little poorly, but he just wants to tell you something before he crosses over. So we kind of made it sort of fun, right?
As time went on at his place, he became more and more reticent, teasing almost, letting me know that, as I said, he shared my view that the biggest trees in British Columbia are still out there to be found by a new generation of tree hunters. And by the time we had got through that whole discussion, he had convinced himself, obviously, that the better course was to leave Maywell's mystery big tree out there for somebody from the next generation of tree hunters to discover, and that was the most important thing. At which point it was clear that I wasn't going to get anything like directions about where this tree might be.
So the little tea party ends, and Andy goes away. And then I remember phoning Andy or emailing him, Andy, I thought you were going to get the coordinates. And he said, no, it's okay. And then I don't hear anything more about it, well, until you contact us a couple of months ago.
And that's about it. I don't have any information that I can provide about it, above and beyond what Maywell told me at that point. He also gave me a whole bunch of photos, and I can provide those to you.
There are a couple of pictures of funky trees that were given to Andy. One you see here, called the window tree, with a hole right through it. And the other one, the Siamese tree, is that one in the background with two legs that grow into one central column. But there are only 3 trees of significant size. Each one is captioned. This one, the Chihuahua Giant, Canada's largest tree, 64-foot circumference, 192 feet tall, estimated age 3,300 years. This is the second tree. It's not a cedar. The caption reads, Kuhlman tree, Sitka spruce, 15-foot diameter, awaiting confirmation as Canada's and possibly the world's largest spruce. Photo by John Kuhlman, 1991. The final photo is the only unknown large cedar tree in the batch. The caption is short and it reads, one of more than a dozen cedar trees, 16 foot or more in diameter around Chihuahua Lake. Maywell, photo, 1990. This last cedar is enormous, dwarfing the people around it. This photo was sent out to the entire Big Tree Registry and nobody recognized it. Could this be Maywell's mystery tree? If it is the mystery tree, then we know that it's around Chihuahua Lake. So we have a starting point, and back into the bush we'll go.
These are tough. Okay. We're definitely measuring some butt there. Big old butt. I don't really want to tactically bushwhack through what might be over there. I don't even know if that road's really there. our line. Then it reminds me of the one that we followed over.
Yeah, it's got a big branch on it too.
Quite the tree.
Respectable.
Yeah, it looks immense from here.
The canopy is insane though.
There's also a really nice great old fella.
Kind of like you.
Ooh, that looks painful. Ooh.
When I said I wanted to come like investigate this, his son was like, okay, sweet. I've got a book of GPS points to go to. So there's like this friction. Yeah, he's like, nah, I'm not giving you them. He's cagey about it.
We don't have a ton of time, right?
Yeah, it feels like we're losing light a little.
Romp what you need to and then let's start moving back.
For the sixth trip, we ended up on the northwest end of the lake. On our way home, the sun was setting. I didn't have a headlamp, and we were exhausted, but we saw the canopy of one tree that stood out close to the lake.
Oh, this is the angle of this thing.
Classic cedar, ancient. Straight candelabra, still alive, burly, massive.
We're excited to find this tree because it's always exciting to find a giant, beautiful cedar like this. Also because this appears to be the cedar in the fifth photo. All that's left to do is measure it and find out whether this is 26 feet across. And after all these years, we actually found Maywell's mystery tree. Is it as big as we thought? Man, it's a big beast. Focus.
Good. It's shady. Girded to supposed high humps.
Yeah. I answer to no one out here. Okay? All right. All right. Well, I'm gonna go wrong.